Okay, I want you to picture a scenario for me.
Okay.
It's 9 a.m. on a Friday. You're staring at your laptop, right? You've got like 3 different browsers open. Your credit card is already copied. You are sweating.
Oh, I know this feeling. This is ticket buying stress.
It is. It's total warfare. And you know deep down that there are 50,000 other people doing the exact same thing.
But the stadium only holds 20,000. The math is brutal.
It is. It's a zero-sum game. If I get that seat, you don't. If I win, you lose.
Which is the classic definition of scarcity. When demand outstrips supply, you get competition. And, usually that competition is just based on speed or sheer luck.
And the feeling it creates is just pure anxiety. But here's the thing. We accept this. First come, first serve is just, well, how the world works.
That's how you get the new phone, the best parking spot.
Exactly. But today we are doing a deep dive into a text that claims this entire system, this survival of the fittest, is actually obsolete.
That is a bold claim.
Yeah.
We're looking at a specific analysis of a biblical narrative today, the story of the healing at the pool of Bethesda.
Now, before anyone tunes out thinking this is just Sunday school, hang on, because the source material we have treats this text almost like a socio-political manifesto.
It really does. It frames the story not just as a miracle, but as a collision between two completely different historical eras.
Right. It argues this story illustrates a transition from an era of competition to one of abundance. It completely reframes how we think about access.
So our mission today is to unpack that argument.
We're going to look at how the text deconstructs the whole idea of a temple and why it suggests we can stop refreshing the browser page and just relax.
Which sounds a lot easier said than done.
Definitely. But let's start with the setting. The text drops us into a place called the Pool of Bethesda. What does that look like?
It's a striking scene. You have this pool, and it's surrounded by these 5 covered porches. But the atmosphere is anything but serene.
How so?
The text says it's absolutely packed with people who are sick. Blind, lame, paralyzed, just crowds of them.
So it's basically an ancient hospital, but with no doctors.
Essentially, yeah. A waiting room where no one's number gets called. They're all just gathered there staring at the water.
And this is where the source material highlights the rules of this place. And I have to say, when I read this part, I got genuinely angry. It sounds incredibly cruel.
It's harsh. The belief system at the time, according to the text, was that an angel would occasionally come down and disturb the water.
Okay, magical water. I can follow that. But there's a catch.
A massive catch.
Yeah.
The text emphasizes that when the water moved, only the first person to get in was healed.
Just one.
Just one, the very first one. If you were 2 seconds late, nothing.
See, that is just psychotic. Imagine a hospital running like that. We have the cure, but we're only giving it to whoever can sprint to the pharmacy the fastest.
It creates this perverse incentive structure.
It turns suffering into a sport. You have all these desperate people, and you force them to see each other as obstacles. If I want to be healed, I literally have to step over you.
And that's a really important point. Our source material identifies that dynamic as the defining feature of what it calls Old Testament history.
It's using that term conceptually, though.
Right. It's an era defined by humans competing to approach God.
So the pool isn't just a pool, it's a symbol for an entire worldview.
Exactly. In this analysis, the pool represents a system where divine favor, or healing, is a limited resource. It's scarce. It's in one specific spot, and you only get it based on performance.
Were you fast enough? Did you want it enough?
And the tragedy is that the main criterion for winning speed is the one thing these people don't have. If you're paralyzed, you're guaranteed to lose a foot race.
That's the irony. The system is designed to reward the people who need it the least.
Which brings us to the character the text focuses on. The man who'd been an invalid for 38 years.
Let's just pause on that number. 38 years? That's a lifetime. Can you imagine the mental state of someone who has been sitting by that pool for 4 decades?
In the stadium.
He's watched the water stir thousands of times.
Most likely. And every single time for 38 years, he watched someone else win. He is the living proof that this old way doesn't work for the most vulnerable.
So into this chaotic, competitive nightmare walks Jesus, and the source material points out something I'd never really noticed. Jesus doesn't play by the rules.
Not at all. If Jesus was operating with the pool mentality, he would have offered to help the man win.
Right. He would have said, hey, next time it bubbles, I'll carry you. We'll beat the rush.
But he doesn't do that. He ignores the pool entirely. He ignores the angel, the water, the competition, all of it.
The source says Jesus acts here as the Son of God with the word of life. That phrase, word of life, what does that actually imply here?
It implies authority. The source distinguishes between a method and a person. The pool was a method, a mechanism. Jesus presents himself as the source.
So he just speaks.
He just speaks. He says, pick up your mat and walk.
And the result is immediate healing.
Immediate. No water needed. No waiting. And, most importantly, no competition. The man didn't have to be faster than the person next to him. He just had to be close enough to hear the voice.
This is where the source pivots to its big historical argument. It claims this moment splits history into 2 eras. We've talked about the old one, the competition. How does it define the new?
Well, if the old is humans struggling to get to God racing to the pool, the new is God coming to humans. The source says it's Jesus sharing the Father's word of life with everyone.
And the key difference is supply.
Correct. The source explicitly states that in this new history, The supply is unlimited and without limit.
Okay, but let's push on that. Unlimited sounds nice, but practically what does it mean? Because in the story, only one guy gets healed by Jesus in that moment.
True, but the source argues this event establishes a new protocol. The pool required physical displacement. You had to get into the water.
Physical race.
Exactly. The new way only requires auditory reception. You just have to hear the word. And since sound can reach thousands of people at once and can be repeated infinitely, the constraint of one physical spot is gone.
I see. So the mechanism for grace moves from a race to just listening.
Precisely. And because it's based on the word, there's no need to fight. My hearing it doesn't stop you from hearing it.
It's the difference between a riot at the ticket counter and a radio broadcast.
That's a perfect analogy. The broadcast doesn't run out.
So the source takes this even deeper with this whole architectural argument about the temple. This is where I got a little lost. It starts talking about Jesus being the temple.
It is a bit of a leap, but it's crucial. In the Old Testament history, the source describes God had an address.
Like a literal street address.
Effectively, yeah. God's presence was in the tabernacle, then the temple in Jerusalem, in one specific room.
So just like the healing was stuck at the pool, God was stuck in a stone building.
Right. If you wanted to interact with God, you had to travel to that place. Geography was the gatekeeper. That's the old architecture.
Okay.
Then Jesus comes, and the source quotes the Gospel of John. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. That word dwelt literally translates to tabernacled.
Wait, really? So the text is saying Jesus pitched his tent here.
That's the argument.
Yeah.
That Jesus' body became the new mobile location of God's presence. He became the walking temple.
Which explains why he could ignore the pool. If he is the temple, he brings the Holy of Holies with him right to the sick ward.
Exactly. He brings God's presence to the problem instead of making the problem come to the presence.
Okay, I'm with you. Jesus is the mobile temple. That's step 2. But the source doesn't stop there. It goes to a step 3, which involves us.
This is the radical part. The text outlines this progression. First, the word is in Jesus. But then the source says, when we hear Jesus' words and the Holy Spirit descends, we become the temple of God.
Hold on. We become the temple. That sounds very abstract. How does a regular person become a temple? I'm made of flesh and bone, not limestone.
It's about function, not material. A temple is just a place that houses the Spirit of God. It's where the Word resides. The source argues that when you accept this word of life, you essentially download heaven's operating system.
Okay, the OS analogy helps.
So if the Word lives inside you, you become the location. You become the branch office.
So let's trace the geography. Phase 1, God is in a building. Phase 2, God is in Jesus walking around. Phase 3, God is in me.
And in me. And in everyone who receives that word.
This brings us back to the water. The source has this line about drinking the water versus entering the pool.
A vital distinction.
Yeah.
At Bethesda, the water was external. You had to get into it. It was outside of you.
Which is why you had to race. It was over there.
Right. But the source says now, believers can freely drink from the water of life. And when you drink something, where does it go?
Inside you.
It becomes part of you. You carry it with you.
So if the water is inside me, if I have a wellspring in my own chest, then I am never empty.
And if you're never empty, you never have to panic. The source says this creates eternal unity with God. It's not a transaction like I visited the pool and got a miracle. It's a state of being.
I'm a temple. That's a heavy identity shift. It's going from being a beggar at the gate to being the owner of the house.
It changes everything. The source notes this makes believers sons of God. Think about the difference between an employee and a son. An employee competes for a bonus.
A son just inherits. An employee has to perform. A son just has to be.
Exactly. And that's the relief the text is highlighting. The relief of realizing the race is over, you can take off the running shoes, you don't have to elbow the person next to you.
So how does this translate to life on a regular Tuesday?
Well, let's go back to your concert ticket example.
Please don't trigger my anxiety again.
The stress of modern life is so often built on the fear that there isn't enough. Not enough money, recognition, time, love. We feel like we're constantly at the pool of Bethesda, terrified we're going to miss out.
And seeing everyone around us as the reason we might miss out. The guy in the next lane on the highway is the enemy. The coworker up for the same promotion is the competition.
Right. Scarcity breeds hostility.
Great.
But if this text is right, if this new history is true, then that entire worldview is a lie.
Because the supply is unlimited.
Because if you are a temple, you carry the resource with you. You don't need to fight for a spot because you are the spot.
That reframing is massive. It means my neighbor doesn't have to be a threat.
In fact, it allows you to see them completely differently. If
Right.
I know that I'm a temple and I know that you can be a temple too,
Then we aren't fighting over the same piece of real estate. We're just building a city.
a community. The text implies that the end of competition is the beginning of unity. You can't have unity at the pool. Someone has to lose. But you can have unity among temples.
It's the difference between a cage match and a choir.
I love that. A choir only works because everyone is singing the same word, but no one is competing for the microphone.
It really changes how I see that story. For 38 years, that man's identity was the guy who wasn't fast enough.
He was defined by his failure to compete.
And Jesus didn't just fix his legs. He dismantled the system that made him feel like a failure. He told him, the game is rigged, so stop playing. Here's the prize.
He was liberated from the tyranny of comparison. And I think whether you're religious or not, That is a liberation we are all desperate for. We are tired of waiting for the water to move.
We're tired of the hustle, tired of first come, first serve.
And this source offers a world where the last can be first, and the slow get the same healing as the fast.
So here's the thought we want to leave you with today. It's a bit of a challenge based on this text.
We've established a temple is now internal. The supply is unlimited.
So when you walk into your office tomorrow, or you're at a family dinner, or just scrolling social media, try to look at it through this lens. Ask yourself, am I acting like I'm at the pool of Bethesda?
Am I seeing these people as competitors for a limited amount of happiness?
Or can I tap into that internal water of life? Can I operate from a place of abundance where I don't need to win to be okay?
It's a shift from I need to get mine to I already have everything. And that changes how you treat people.
It certainly makes you a lot nicer to stand in line with.
Absolutely.
This has been a fascinating look at how an ancient story can completely dismantle our modern anxiety. Thanks for taking the plunge with us.
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch you on the